our second of the series of special broadcasts looking at the importance, life and collections relating to George Washington Wilson around about Aberdeen. So today you join us in Aberdeen Central Library, where we're here in the local studies part of the library, and I'm joined by my colleague David Oswald, who is local studies librarian here at Central Library. Now, just to remind people before we start, David, the reason that we're doing these special broadcasts is next month in August there's going to be a book published on George Washington Wilson, his life and career, and it's the latest work by Professor Roger Taylor, who is the eminent historian of Washington Wilson and that sort of phase and development of photography in Scotland and indeed worldwide. And so the book is going to be launched on 15th of August at the Edinburgh Literary Festival, and then on the 16th of August Roger Taylor's going to come up to Aberdeen and launch the book again. He wants to do it here in Aberdeen because where Aberdeen is, well, it's not the home of George Washington Wilson. He was in fact born in Alva in Bamshire, but this is where he made his life and career really here in Aberdeen. So Roger Taylor wants to relaunch the book here in Aberdeen the day after. So he'll do that along with former Queen guitarist Brian May, who is the owner of the London Stereoscopic Company, and Brian May has also got a fantastic interest in this photography in this period. He has re-engineered a stereoscopic viewer which allows us to view George Washington Wilson's images as these 3D images as they were intended to be seen at the time. So he's going to come up with Roger, and they'll both relaunch the book in the Arts Lecture Theatre at the University of Aberdeen on Thursday, 16th of August. That will start at 7:30. Tickets are available. You can search on Eventbrite, search for George Washington Wilson, you'll be able to book your tickets there. So George Washington Wilson, a fantastic photographer, innovator, industrialist, and real man of the moment, and created so many fantastic images, some of which are in Aberdeen Art Gallery Museum's collection, some of which the university hold, and here, indeed, in Aberdeen Central Library. So maybe you'd like to tell us a little bit about the collections that you have here, David.
Certainly, yeah. We have quite a lot of good collections related to George Washington Wilson. This is just a fraction of them. Here you'll see we've got a picture of Charles Wilson, one of his sons, who was involved in the business with him and who gifted and I think sold a number of our items to us. And in particular, some of the items that he gave us are these albums that I believe he compiled a number of volumes on different kind of subjects. And this one here, now we've got the photographs loose, are photographs of his tours from the Highlands and Islands of Scotland, and it really shows his kind of influence.
Yeah, I mean they're all very much landscape as yeah.
Absolutely. This is more as he's sort of shifted from kind of portraiture, both painting, photography a bit more. And I think Roger Taylor kind of argues that Wilson's kind of moving into that area of kind of tourism and showing pictures was a massive kind of influence.
I mean that's all part and parcel of Victoria and Albert buying the estate at Balmoral, sight unseen it must be said as well, that they bought that estate, and then of course they redeveloped Balmoral Castle, which he gets the commission to photograph, and that is about the reinvention of Scotland as this fantastic destination for tourists, this wonderful natural environment. And George Washington Wilson is very much part and parcel of that movement, but it's not just local and national, it's international as well. I mean this is the whole other aspect to his career. So
absolutely. Yeah, he did tours, and his company rather did tours of not just Scotland, but also places like Australia and Africa. And we've got albums particularly showing his photographs from South Africa here.
So you can just imagine how fantastically popular these would have been, and would have sold so many different copies of these.
Yeah, exactly.
And of course, I mean, we say international, national throughout Scotland. This is a very local book here. This is wonderful book of Aberdeen Town Council in 1883. Now, this is sort of a reminder of the fact that George Washington Wilson is operating at that kind of upper echelons in local society. He was a councillor himself, actually,
exactly.
So he's capturing his contemporaries here, and we've got a couple of we've got Bailey, George Walker, we've got Sangsters, who at that point in 1883 was the Dean of Guild for the Burgesses of Guild in the city. So he's capturing his contemporaries there. George himself.
Yep.
Classic portrait.
Absolutely.
With the beard, as we all know him, really. And I think that this is his wife here, as both a younger woman and the...
Exactly, yeah.
So this is, a lot of these are from the original collection that Charles gave to the library, and then obviously that collection's grown over the decades since then, and you've added to it. And I see you've added to it with two, or you possibly get more versions of these isometric views of Aberdeen.
Yeah.
Wonderful bit of work this.
Absolutely.
So if I just jump in front.
So it was a collaboration with his friend, and only collaborator John Hay. Essentially, it's a bird's eye view of Aberdeen from 1850, and you'll see down the bottom here it says George Wilson, delineator. He went up to the top of various high buildings and took sketches, and then made this full composited plan thing.
So he knitted them all together.
Exactly, yeah, exactly. And it's got various a key with various sort of important kind of civic buildings and important buildings all around. Yeah.
I mean, this is something that everyone in Aberdeen would absolutely love to have a good look at.
Yeah.
And if we want to maybe come in, and I don't know if we can see the detail here, but here we've got, this is Union Street running along here. Here's the townhouse, but this is St Nicholas Kirk here. This is Union Terrace Gardens here. So this is Aberdeen Infirmary, there's the Royal Infirmary. But this is where Rosemount Viaduct eventually gets laid out. So this will be where the theatre, the library and...
St Mark's.
St Mark's. Apologies, St Mark's. So this is eventually where what comes colloquially known as education, damnation and salvation get laid out. So this is, it's a little bit of here before it was here.
Yeah,
It's a fantastic view of a very changing industrial landscape. And an industrial landscape that George Washington Wilson was very much part of. By this point in the late 19th century, he has got his full industrial production up and running up at Queen's Cross, and he is reflected as one of the most important people in the town, and indeed internationally known by that point as well. So, David, thanks for introducing these fantastic collections. And are people welcome to come here?
Very much so, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, the local studies
Get in touch.
It must be said, the local studies are a fantastic collection. I think should be used an awful lot more. Do come along and have a look at these. And indeed, also, please do come along on Thursday, the 16th of August, where you can meet Roger Taylor and Brian May, and they'll do a 3D performance of George Washington Wilson images. It will be a fantastic night. We'll learn an awful lot about that process, about the techniques, about Brian May's interest in this. So hopefully see you then. David, thanks very much. Bye-bye.